Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, best kitchen appliance.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Mark, here we are in the kitchen. We're getting ready to make dinner and have a nice meal. We're so hungry.
Oh, I love our We Got This kitchen. For those who have not seen the We Got This kitchen.
It's so good. Stainless steel.
It is. Everything is stainless steel.
Yep.
Weirdly, we have a clawfoot tub in here.
Well, I like to relax.
Exactly. You like to relax. I have a hammock that hangs directly above the clawfoot tub.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want to get wet. Because there's a lot of kitchen appliances in here that we plug into the wall. And speaking of kitchen appliances that we plug into the wall.
Yes.
Let's talk kitchen gadgets.
Well, let's talk appliances. When you say appliance.
Yeah.
Let's make a distinction. Because I love gadgets. I want to talk about gadgets. I say we make gadgets a separate thing because appliances, we're talking about sort of the bigger plug-in things, maybe as small as a toaster or a blender. That would be an appliance, a stand mixer.
Is it bigger than a bread box?
Yeah. It better be.
Which a toaster, I guess, technically is.
Do you know the greatest advancement in technology in the last 25 years?
VR.
A lot of people might say that.
The singularity. The
Hadron Collider. A lot of people might say that. A lot of people might say that it's just generally the ubiquity of the internet and how it's connected us all.
Smartphones,
camera phones, the ability to have the processing power of what was once a supercomputer that sent a ship to the moon in the palm of our hand. But no, I'm going to tell you what it is. I won't make you guess because we'll be here all night. It is the toaster with the screen on it, where you can see how well done the toaster bagel will be so that when you get it out, it's like because some people like a real well done toast. Some people like a lightly toasted toast. Some people like it in the middle. And
what's your toast of choice?
Like what kind of bread?
What level of toastedness?
I like middle toast. I don't like it to be really burnt. I like it to still feel like I can tell it was bread. I don't want it to look like Anakin in episode 3. I'll put it that way.
Especially you don't want it to pop out of the toaster and go, I hate you.
Yeah, I would hate that. I already feel bad enough about what's going to happen to that bagel.
Tell me about this screen, though. This is like a digital screen that shows you a picture of how I don't understand, because we've determined through lots of different kitchen appliances and uses and tools that glass can get hot. Why don't they just put a window on the toaster?
No, because you want to know going in. I don't want to have to. Do you really want to sit and watch your toast become toast?
I think that is a metaphor generally used for something boring. Like just watching bread get toasted. It's like watching paint dry.
I can't imagine any worse use of 90 seconds of my time to 3 minutes of my time.
I can.
Look, we all have stuff that maybe we weren't a fan of that maybe other people enjoyed. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to watch even that, I would rather watch that. I would enjoy it. I would clap. I would sing along. I would have a great time. I don't want to watch bread get hot. I don't need to watch that happen. I don't need it. So
how many appliances do you think need a smart overlay though? Like my air fryer, it connects to Wi-Fi. I have no idea why. I have never connected it to my Wi-Fi. I don't know what I would use that for unless it was like I just put something in it in the morning and then on the way home was like, now it's time to cook it so it'll be ready when I get home. But then I just had raw chicken in a tepid box on my counter all day.
Yeah. You're basically poisoning yourself, but cooking it first.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. Let me cook all this salmonella so it's medium well.
Generally, those appliances and I have a smart washer and dryer, which I did not buy because they were a smart washer and dryer. I bought them because they were good and not super expensive, and they have an internet feature. Yeah. But really all that does is I can program in a setting maybe, but I can't start it or anything. All it does is just tell me when it's done. Your dryer cycle's complete. Your washer's done.
The laundromat that I go to, because I'm not as fancy as you.
No, yeah.
Has that. Everything is through my phone, through an app. So I can leave and come back and it'll tell me. That does come in handy. But also, if you set the timer for 45 minutes, just look at your watch when you walk out of the room, right?
Well, yes, that's how we used to do it. It's not like we lived for you kids who are listening. I know that we have a couple children who listen. There was a time where we didn't have our phones tell us everything because we weren't carrying phones around. We used watches and we talked to one another. It was a real amazing time. But now we're
sincerely Uncle Hal and Uncle Mark. Here's how things were better way back in the day.
Now here's a penny for your birthday. I made
Happy
it a
birthday.
check. It's from both of us.
Merry birthday. Here on December 24th, your birthday. This is all you're getting. Don't ask
That's
for both.
right. All right. Now run along, Jesus.
Ooh, twist.
That's right. The convenience of these things, like for a toaster in particular, you set the dial to whatever number. You have an idea with that dial how it's going to come out, but I just love that idea of, I want to see, I don't know what a 5 represents on every toaster. Like some of them are different. Some of them run a little hotter. Some of them run a little cooler.
That drives me nuts. A relative scale drives me nuts.
Yes.
Because, like, I think of and even, I guess it's not as subjective, when it's a toaster because there are degrees, like it is a visual, color representation that you will see in the toast. The one that always gets me is at the doctor's office, that pain scale where they have this, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain? I'm like, I don't know if I have a high pain tolerance or a low pain tolerance. I could go in and be like, it's a 10, but anybody else in the world could be like, it's like a 1.
Yeah, well,
I might be the weakest or the strongest. I could go in and I'm like, well, this pain's like a 1. They're like, really? Cause one of your arms was just hand chopped off from a rock that you were wedged into. Sorry.
Oh, that movie was about you?
Yeah. I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah.
Well, I kind of mentioned it a lot. You've been hinting. You're like, geez, we've been waiting for dinner so long. What is this taking? 127 hours?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I feel like we're just talking about toasters. There are a lot of other appliances in a kitchen, but that's what
let's start.
About.
We're starting with the toaster. I like the simplicity of a toaster.
Sure.
But this begs one big question, I think, that we have to ask about. I wonder if our best as seen on TV product there might be some overlap with this because it was ultimately a kitchen appliance that was our best seen on TV. Do we want something with multiple functions? Because a toaster does one thing really well.
Yeah. And a toaster oven does a few things okay and shouldn't be used for a lot of the things people like. That's something it's dangerous to put in a dorm room or like a bachelor apartment. Yeah. By which I mean like a young person who has not learned yet how to cook and what is safe and what is not, and just figure out, well, this is a hot box. I can just use it for all the oven stuff.
Yep.
So
you can't really do the, on a toaster oven, or at least my toaster oven that I have, it is upper, and lower. That's your temperature gauge there. That's as much temperature gauging as you can do on a toaster oven.
So it's just a fire hazard waiting to happen.
Yeah.
If you have an oven, you can do pretty much all the things you do with a toaster. Just put it on broil, put the bread in, take it out after a short period of time.
Are we counting the full-on range as a kitchen appliance?
Yeah, it is an appliance. That's an appliance. The refrigerator is an appliance.
I guess I was only thinking of countertop stuff, but yeah, the big stuff, they are appliances. The stove, so
microwave.
This might have just gotten easier.
I have a microwave, and when I got the when first time I opened the door, I was like, "There's a metal rack in here." And what do you learn as a child?
Don't put metal in the microwave.
Never put metal in the microwave because it makes the electricity go, and that blows up, and then the house burns down, and it's your fault.
Yeah,
it's your fault that happened. There may be other things they could say are not your fault. That is your fault.
That's your fault.
Yeah. So I looked at it. I was like, can I have this in here? Was this put in here as a test by the fine people at whatever it is, LG or Samsung, whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look it up to see.
And?
Like, why is it in there? So it is okay.
Is it a certain metal? Is it like aluminum can't go in or?
I mean, I'm not going to test it, but this rack is microwave safe and it's there so that you can heat two things at once. So you can have two levels. So you can have a bowl of something and a plate of something.
Smart.
And heat them both together.
Yeah.
You can also do the same thing by having your one plate and then putting the other thing on a mug to create levels. You can do that in a microwave that doesn't have that rack. And you can remove the rack. I have it out most of the time.
And if you're doing the mug thing, you might as well make a brownie. make a mug brownie while
Those
you're
mug
doing
brownie.
it.
I don't like though. Did you ever try to
You don't
make
like a mug? I love a mug brownie. They're so easy and they're so good.
I tried to make a dump cake.
Uh-huh.
One of those things you put the cake mix, this stuff in, then you cut the butter into squares and put it on top, and you don't mix. There's a TikTok account where she's constantly making this, and she always points at it and goes, "Don't mix it." And so I tried one.
What is sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it was like a chocolate cake. I was like, let me try a chocolate brownie. Like, I'll follow a recipe. I'm good following recipes. But you put it all in dry, and then you put the butter on top, and it was terrible. It was awful, because some parts where the butter were okay, and then other parts, it was just hot powder.
Yeah. You know why, Hal? Because TikTok recipes are not vetted.
I know, but I don't even think I got it off of TikTok. I went and looked one up.
Really?
Said, show me a dump cake. I did make a Nutella cookie off of TikTok that was unreal. I still have the recipe for it. Yeah. It was one big cookie.
Let's talk about our general cooking styles. Are you a recipe guy? Do you generally tend to follow, like, pick a recipe you like and follow it to a T?
I learn the recipe and I follow it to a T until I've learned it, and then I'm comfortable experimenting, adding things in, taking things out. I may take things out when I make it. There's like one thing I don't care for. When I was doing way fewer carbs, I would make short ribs, but I wouldn't put in the cornstarch. I would make it with all stuff that fit what I was doing, and it came out fine. It wound up being more of a stew when I was done anyway, because of the way the broth sort of cooks up.
Nothing wrong with that.
There are other things where I will experiment. Like, I know these things might taste good together. I'm going to try them out. Yeah. So I'm a little bit of both, but I do like a recipe because that's how I learn new ways to cook and new dishes to cook. What about you?
I'm kind of the same way. I don't necessarily have to master a recipe. I think before I start messing with it, I want to start messing with it pretty quickly. Even by the time I'm finished reading it, you know what I mean? I'll look at I'll find a recipe online, scroll, 30 or 40 pages until you get to the recipe. And then once I'm there, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I don't really like raw red onions, so I'm going to swap that out for some shallots, or you know what I mean? Like, I'll, make my own little adjustments, personal adjustments.
Would you like me to change your life?
You've already changed my life, my friend.
Would you like me to change it again? Thank you.
No, I'd like you to change it back, please.
Sorry, no wishing for more wishes. There is an app that is for your phone and your computer and your iPad. You buy it once and then it works on all of them, called Paprika.
Okay.
And the icon looks like a little can of paprika where you would use like a butter knife to pop it open, like an old school. And, awesome. And part of what it's a digital recipe box, but what it will do is you go to one of those pages where it's like, Betty's fun chili. And like usual, it's like you're like, all right, well, tell me what the ingredients.
Scroll. My aunt once said,
exactly.
Scroll. Yeah.
Yeah. 12 ads for the Home Depot. Scroll. So you enter that URL into Paprika's browser, and then it says like download, and it pulls just the recipe and just the ingredients.
Genius.
And you can take the ingredients and make a shopping list out of them. So when you go to the store, you know what you need that you don't already have. Ooh. It's really, really good. I've started to build mine. I just recently added a chili recipe that I wanted to try that I did not like, but I made so much of it that I have it frozen in single serving containers so that I can reheat it.
You got to half that recipe the first time out, brother. You got to make sure
I don't like to do that.
Thing.
I don't like to do that. I had faith that I was like, well, all the seasonings are here. Mm-hmm. But the way they put it together was so weird. It was like cook up the beef and put all the seasoning in that, then separately do all the tomatoes and sauce and put the vegetables and, the onion and pepper and stuff with the beef in and then mix it together. I'm like, well, what is that? No, you season the meat a little bit. You put it in with everything. Then you season the whole thing
as you go and you taste and you go and you go. Yeah.
So I had to. It's fine. I wish it was better. I'm still searching for like a great chili recipe. So if anybody has one, I do like beans in mine. So
yeah,
don't let that stop you when I know I'm going to be flooded with recipes.
Of course.
What have I done to myself?
You know what I often do when I make chili?
What's that?
And this is a good segue back into appliances, I think, is crock pot. I'll brown the beef, do it a little bit on there, and then, get it going on the stove and then pour it in the crock pot, put it on low, and just kind of taste and tweak all day.
Yeah, I did do an 8-hour slow cook. I use the Instant Pot, which is also a slow cooker. The Instant Pot, by the way, has got to be in the running as a smaller appliance.
Because it is a pressure cooker and a slow cooker.
Is a pressure cooker, a rice cooker, a slow cooker. It makes yogurt.
I mean,
I have a lid for it that is an air fryer lid, so it is also an air fryer. So it really does it all. Like I've made French fries in it several times. It's the only thing I've air fried in there. No. I think I bought it just to make frozen French fries.
I love my air fryer. I use my air fryer for everything. You know what? So now we're just kind of throwing them out there. I think we might be benefited by creating a short list for ourselves of who we think the contenders are. Okay. We've got the toaster, the stove, the refrigerator.
Yep.
The microwave.
Yeah.
The air fryer.
Mm-hmm.
The Instapot.
Mm-hmm.
The slow cooker or crock pot.
Yep.
I will throw in there the most elegant of the kitchen appliances, the KitchenAid stand mixer.
That was the holy grail when we were registering for wedding gifts.
Yeah.
And we got it. Somebody bought it for us.
They're incredible. They're an heirloom of things. They're the only kitchen appliance that I think of as an heirloom.
It's really, really great. I've used it to make cookies, obviously, many times. I used it to make cake.
And with the attachments.
Yep. You can make pasta. You can spiral veggies. You meat grinder. It really does. It really is it's much more versatile than you think. It's just, as someone who owns one, the expense of having it, which we did not have to foot the bill for, thankfully. The attachments are so expensive that I never buy the attachments.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I thought I'd lost my paddle because I use the paddle, not the beater, to mix stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I'd lost it. So I went to Target and got a new version that KitchenAid makes that has a silicone scraper on it. It's so great.
I use a silicone spatula for almost everything in the kitchen.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, it's the ultimate.
It's the only thing I use pretty much exclusively.
Yep.
Which is weird because it's so strictly like for baking. It has a function that it's supposed to be used for. And I'm like, this is the most useful single hand tool in my entire kitchen.
Oh yeah.
It's just a silicone spatula.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. So in our list, here's what I have: the KitchenAid, the fridge, the stove, the microwave, the air fryer, the Instapot, the toaster.
Mm-hmm. Stand mixer.
The stand mixer. Yeah. Oh, that I put the KitchenAid.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I went full name brand on that one.
Brand specific.
And if we're going brand specific, I will say the Cuisinart. When I say that, of course, I'm talking about the food processor.
Food processor, sure.
Which, by the way, is a hilarious name because all of these do that.
Yeah.
They all process food. Like the organ in your body called the liver. What does it do? It helps you live. Well, they all do that. Yeah, but this one gets called the liver. That's what the word food processor makes me think of. Right. And then, of course, Hal. Our old friend is back on the list.
The toaster?
Mashed potatoes.
Oh, the blender?
The Vitamix.
The Vitamix specifically?
Vitamix specifically, but we can go with the blender.
Yeah. Vitamix is the Rolls Royce of blenders. Yeah. Although I still like the Blendtec because they did those ads where they put like an iPhone in a blender.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. It turned it into powder.
What?
He would take things and he goes, will it blend? And he puts an item in and puts the lid on it and it blends. A lot of stuff blends.
I don't know if that's a positive message for that company or a negative message for Apple.
Could be both.
Yeah. So so the two ways to destroy your phone, are drop it in a blender or drop it anywhere from higher than 6 inches.
It's also something a parent can show a child. Like this is, if you misbehave, I'm going to take your phone and I'm going to blend it into a powder.
Yeah. And if you continue to misbehave, I'm going to put your hand in this blender like Chunk in the Goonies.
That's right.
Can I go out on a limb right now and say, look, they're very good kitchen appliances, but I don't think they do enough. So I'm going to say goodbye to the blender and the toaster. Can we already start eliminating in these ways?
Yeah. I mean, blender does do a fair amount. You can do a lot. You can use it as a food processor. You don't really need a Cuisinart. Sure.
because I need that big wide area to get a good like pulse chop. Like, can you chop up veggies to make a salsa in a Vitamix?
Sure.
Not like a creamy, smooth salsa, but like a
you can chunk it up.
Really?
It's a little bit more, food processor certainly affords you more control. The blades run a little bit differently because they generally run on a plane rather than being flared out. So they sort of catch everything.
See, my food processor also has across the top, a slicer.
Yeah. We have,
you know what I mean?
we have the same thing. I'm sure.
We have the same thing. Yeah. I love that comes in so handy for slicing vegetables.
Yes.
And I love it. You get perfectly even slices, make your cucumber spa water, pretend that your home is Ojai, California.
I like a mandolin slicer. I like a manual mandolin slicer for that.
That's fair.
That's personal. I like
a mandolin slicer. Yeah. I like the sound that.
Yep.
What we're going to be looking at are the big guns.
Uh-huh.
We're going to be looking at a couple of, I think, and tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think we're going to be looking at a couple of countertop based kitchen appliances.
Okay.
And I think we're going to look at those in the mix with the big freestanding ones. So
the big ones, yeah.
The fridge, the range, or the fridge and the stove, the range, whatever you want to call it. The fridge and the stove are going to go up against the food processor, the KitchenAid, the microwave. I mean, the microwave changed the world.
Sure.
The Instapot. Now, let me ask you this. Do we immediately eliminate the air fryer and the slow cooker because the Instapot contains both of those?
I think so. And I have to correct you because I'm a pedant and I know we have very smart listeners who probably know the same. It's Instant Pot.
I thought it was
should
Instapot.
Be Instapot. It's Instant Pot.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I hope I haven't insulted you and your Instant Pot.
Well, I'm going to put your phone in a blender. What do you think about that?
No, Hal, just don't put my hand in there.
Nope, it's your phone.
I'll tell you about the time I threw up.
You only have one hand left anyway. You might fake me out and put the fake one up there. I'm beginning to like this kid. You're going to put your 127 hours hand in there and not even feel anything. You can't trick me.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to watch them duke it out. It's the food processor versus the KitchenAid versus the fridge, the stove, the microwave, and the Instant Pot. But in the meantime, please hear about some of the other great shows on the Maximum Fun Network. We'll be right back.
Her Majesty served Great Britain and the Commonwealth loyally for over 70 years. And while, of course, we feel a profound sadness, we must remember she lived a long life and died in such a way that I think many of us would want for ourselves. She was at home, surrounded by her family. And, of course, she was listening to the Beef and Dairy Network podcast. The Beef and Dairy Network podcast is a multi-award-winning comedy podcast, and you can find it at MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're in a theater. The lights go down. You're about to get swept up by the characters and all their little details and interpersonal dramas. You look at them and think, that person is so obviously in love with their best friend. Wait, am I in love with my best friend? That character's mom is so overbearing. Why doesn't she just stand up to her? Oh God, do I need to stand up to my own mother? If you've ever recognized yourself in a movie, then join me, Jordan Crucchiola, for the podcast Feeling Seen. We've talked to author Susan Orlean on realizing her own marriage was falling apart after watching Adaptation, an adaptation of her own work, and comedian Hari Kondabolu on why Harold and Kumar was a depressingly important movie for Southeast Asians. So join me every Thursday for the Feeling Seen podcast here on Maximum Fun.
Okay, Hal, while we were on that break, I broke these down into 3 different battles.
Oh boy.
We're going to pull one winner from each of the battles, and then those 3 are going to be grand melee at the end. Now, which of these battles would you like to wage first? Big guns, NKOTB, or get to the chopper?
I want to start with get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. This is our food preparation countertop kitchen appliances. So this is a binary battle between the Cuisinart, aka the food processor, and the KitchenAid stand mixer. Let's talk.
I like a food processor. and we've used ours some, but I don't use it a lot. I think a stand mixer, I like to have out on display.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Especially a good KitchenAid stand mixer it is a classic. You walk into a kitchen with one of those and you're like, I hope this person knows what they're doing, because that is a Cadillac on their counter.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't cook, they're both prep tools, but with the attachments, there's more flexibility to what a stand mixer can do than what a Cuisinart or any food processor can do.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Well, that was easy. Are we done?
Yeah. That was an easy battle. That was, okay. They're going to get harder. That was a pretty easy battle. You agree? I agree 100%.
Okay, great.
I mean, there is from the time I was a child, my mother dreamed of getting a KitchenAid.
Oh, get to the mixer. Recipe.
Yeah. Shut up, Hal.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm waxing philosophical.
Yes, I'm sorry.
This is going to be you know what? Just punch markgagliardi.com into paprika and see what recipe pops up.
Oh, it's just a middle finger.
Yeah, weird. But that's only if you go to markgagliardi.com/Hal.
That's where I went. I thought, a website just for me?
Yeah. Ooh. But yeah, I think you're right. And it's not even just because I know we've been talking about the functionality being the main thing, obviously, but I think with the KitchenAid stand mixer, it is aesthetics. It's also the aesthetics of it is one of it's probably the only thing on this list where aesthetics will come into play, unless you're buying a bunch of Smeg appliances, which I think owe their entire aesthetic to the KitchenAid stand mixer.
The only value that Smeg has to me is taking pictures of it to send to people.
Yes. Yeah. Smeg is a hilarious, terrible name for a company. So
yes,
I've received many photos of assorted Smeg appliances in the wild.
Yes.
And
they're all out there.
I love it. All right. That's battle number 1. That was easy. KitchenAid defeats the food processor. Do you want big guns or NKOTB?
I think we go to NKOTB from there, right?
Let's go to NKOTB. That is not New Kids on the Block as it was when we were children, Hal. It is.
Oh, really?
The new kitchen appliances on the block, relatively speaking. I say new because as opposed to 1922 when the toaster was invented, or 1885 when we didn't even think about the dishwasher.
That's one of the big guns.
We'll add that to the list of big guns.
Yeah, it's in the big guns.
Yeah. This is ones that have been invented in the last, roughly 50 years. And that is the microwave versus the Instapot.
It's just those two?
Just those two. That's all that's on our list. That's all that's left. Because we eliminated the slow cooker and the air fryer because the Instant Pot has both of those functions.
Well, they're so different.
They are. Is food quality a factor? Do you think?
You mean like the quality of what you get out of it?
Yeah, like a microwave cooks something faster, oddly, than an Instant Pot does.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to get a microwave does one thing, which is heat up the water molecules inside whatever you put inside the thing.
Right, which is why you put frozen meals in there. Right. You reheat things in there. You steam things in there. The steam and the bag vegetables, another great. Love those.
Love them.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
The Instant
But they'll make
Pot,
your kitchen smell like farts. Some of them.
That's part of the fun.
Well, that's fair.
It's hilarious. Like, who farted? The microwave.
It's just broccoli.
The Instant Pot actually takes things that are uncooked and makes them cooked. You can put raw chicken. I've done drumsticks, chicken thighs. I've done the short ribs is really fun because first you saute. You can saute in there too. Mm-hmm. So you saute them and brown them, take them out. Then you add everything. You actually deglaze it. Like there's a whole
all within the Instant Pot.
All within the Instant Pot.
Okay.
And then you pressure cook it. And then, so the pressure cooking makes it take a lot less time. Yeah. The reason why it's instant is it's not as instant as a microwave, obviously, because a microwave is very fast, but this cooks it, pressure cooks it. And I've cooked incredible pasta in it. Like I've done almost anything you can imagine. I think it is a way more versatile tool than the microwave is, but every home has a microwave.
Yeah, I agree. The Instant Pot is vastly more versatile and probably better food comes out of it than comes out of a microwave. But the microwave is ubiquitous. It's easy. It's a time saver for anyone who does not have a lot of time to be in the kitchen, whether it's because you're a parent or because you work a lot or because you just don't want to be in the kitchen for a long period of time. The microwave is the kitchen appliance for people who spend the least amount of time in the kitchen and prefer it that way.
I'm not convinced that's a great reason why it should win.
Oh, I'm not saying that that's why it should win. I'm just pointing out elements. I'm pointing out attributes, I think, of it. And I think its ease and speed is an attribute, not necessarily that it, is for people who spend less time in the kitchen, which isn't necessarily true. But it does there are two things I think the microwave does better than anything else. And that is bacon and popcorn.
I disagree with you. I would rather cook both of those on a stovetop. And I've done bacon.
It's such a mess. And
it's not, it is if you don't cook it properly. Like you're not supposed to sizzle it on a really high temperature. You cook bacon low.
No. Even fairly low, it's still going to go everywhere. You're still, because I have the bacon tray for bacon that I just, it's super easy. It goes in the microwave. For me, microwave bacon, I prefer because of the uniformity of it. Though now, apparently, according to the internet, cooking it in water is the best way to make bacon in shallow water.
Right. Yeah. I'm very happy with having cooked it on, I've made it a couple different ways and microwave certainly is easiest.
Yeah.
But doing it this way, the whole place smells like bacon. It's really nice. It's fun to cook. I don't know. It's just something fun to it. And I like the feeling of accomplishment afterwards. Same with Instant Pot too, I think. I think there's something to, even if it's just I'm chopping up a bunch of stuff and throwing it in there. There isn't really you don't have to get too crazy with it. You put everything in and then you set it. And then when it beeps when it's done, you release the pressure and then boom.
But the microwave, I would say that the microwave has, of all of these, the best. You mentioned how easy the Instant Pot is, which I've not experienced one, but if it does all of these different functions, I've, seen them in action. Yeah. I don't have one myself, but if it's the effort to tastiness ratio, the microwave hands down wins. The effort put forth to the, even I'll use popcorn as an example. Bag, literally a button that says popcorn. And then in 3.5 minutes, I have popcorn. And actually prefer that popcorn to stovetop popcorn because I am not good at making stovetop popcorn.
I can teach you how to make stovetop popcorn. It's not that hard, but you have to learn. Once you learn how to do it, then it's easy.
Yeah. You know what? I don't have to learn how to put a bag in the microwave and push a button that says popcorn.
Mark, what if I told you that in 8 minutes, you could have the exact same popcorn you have in a movie theater?
Yeah. What if I told you that in 8 minutes, I'm already 3.5 minutes into my bag of popcorn?
But it's not the same. It's not as good. And it's always burnt somewhere a little bit or it's underdone. You have a lot of, you realize this is another fun TikTok thing is that when you have a bag of microwave popcorn, there's always a little opening that's created as it microwaves. You're not supposed to rip it open. You're supposed to shake the kernels loose from it.
You know what? I saw that same TikTok video and then I tried it.
Yeah. What happened?
You know what happens when you do that?
It opens and the popcorn goes everywhere.
That steam stays trapped inside there because I always try to pop as many of the kernels as I can.
Of course.
So the second I take it out of the microwave, I pull that apart to let the steam escape so that nothing gets burnt. I tried that TikTok thing where you leave it in the bag and shake it for all the kernels to come out. And I was like, great, all the kernels came out, but I am smelling this burning in the process. That steam that is trapped in there burns the popcorn that is in there.
Gotcha.
So I have to call a little bit of baloney on that particular trend.
That's fair.
But I will absolutely take you up on showing me how to make good popcorn on the stove.
Startlingly simple.
Yeah. But I think as far as this battle goes, it's got to be the Instant Pot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to the big guns with a newly added, I can't believe we didn't think of it before.
The dishwasher.
Third big gun, the dishwasher. The fridge, the stove, and the dishwasher is what we're looking at now. Now, if we want to just jump right into the dishwasher, I do not have one.
Don't do it. It's not safe.
Nope. I'm going to do it, Hal. I'm jumping right into the dishwasher. I do not have one in Los Angeles. I had one in New York City and I had one in Montreal. When I have them, I love them.
Yeah.
It makes things so much easier.
It does.
But it's not a necessity, I don't think, the way that a fridge and a stove are.
100% agree with you.
You know? And plus, like Jeff Bezos, I do enjoy the zen of doing my dishes.
Yeah.
Which are frequently done during the second Rick Steves episode that comes on after the first Rick Steves episode, which is the one that I'm cooking my breakfast during.
Sure. Do you use Scrub Daddy? Do you have a Scrub Daddy or a Scrub Mommy? I know it sounds weird.
The way it was only sounded weird because you didn't say have the first time. You just went, do you Scrub Daddy? And I'm like, I said, if he's dirty.
It's Mark. Yo, Mark, scrub me down.
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking about dad. I was thinking about daddy. They're two different people, Hal.
Right. That's true. Dad and daddy.
No, I don't want to give my dad a sponge bath.
Mark, sponge me off.
You have a dishwasher? You have a dishwasher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had the good fortune of every place I've lived in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Has had a dishwasher. That said, I still enjoy, I'll wash dishes by hand. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I like being able to load them in and run the dishwasher. But they're also like, we have stuff that I'm not sure can go in the dishwasher. I have stuff that I know we can't put in the dishwasher that I hand wash. Yeah. That's not that big a deal. And it feels good. There is a nice feeling of accomplishment when you're done doing it. So yeah, it is an unnecessary, it's a
luxury,
complete convenience.
Yeah.
You need something to cook with because you can't just set a controlled fire in your home and hang a pot over it to make soup. You need something. You can wash your dishes by hand but the advantage of a dishwasher, I will say, for those of us who are more environmentally conscious and those of us who live in a city where water conservation is extremely important, as we do, using your dishwasher, even if it's not full, it uses less water than if you wash dishes because you constantly have the water running while you're washing dishes.
What's funny, like within the last year, I've tried to get so much better about that, especially with the water crisis that we've been having in California.
Yeah.
And all of the West Coast I'm trying to be better about rather than letting the water just run or putting the stopper in and filling up the sink. If I don't have a ton of dishes to do, I have a giant mixing bowl and I will use that as the vessel to do the washing.
Sure.
So that I'm not. Yeah, exactly. So that I'm not filling up the sink because that bowl is going to hold a quarter as much water as the sink will. So I'm trying to be better about that. It's funny you mentioned like that it's not necessary. A dishwasher is not necessary, but it's a nice thing to have. My stepmother in Florida, she has a dishwasher. They have a dishwasher in the house. This is the house that she and my dad got together. She had lived in this house previously and has had this dishwasher in the house the whole time and has only ever used it to dry dishes. She opens it up when she's done washing the dishes. She opens it up, puts the dishes in there and then leaves the door open and lets them dry. That's what the dishwasher is used for in that house. Now we're down to the stove and the fridge. One preserves your food and one cooks it. One is as old as humanity. One is only about 100 years old, but I can't imagine not having it. And it has done so much for the world.
Yeah, the ability to refrigerate and also freeze your food. Yeah, and not need an ice house, not need to store your beef and salt.
Exactly. The refrigerator changed the world. The way that the stove just kind of, I'm not downplaying the usefulness in a home of a stove. As you said, you don't want to just cook on an open fire hearth, but people did cook on an open fire hearth for a very long time and it redirects heat into the most useful possible way. A refrigerator created an entirely new thing that you could do with food. You know what I mean? Refrigerator and freezer.
Well, then really just applying and making widely available, like the ability to have ice and have cold in your home. Like it's still
year round. Yeah.
It's using technology to improve on a process that already existed, that has existed for a very long time.
Yes.
Which is having to store food.
Sure.
But also we're not.
But to have a home freezer.
Are we approaching this the wrong way? Because we're saying like you can only have a refrigerator or an oven / range.
I mean, in this case, maybe that might be how we need to do it, because this, more so than the other ones where we're looking on a really personal level, like what is useful to me, the individual standing in my kitchen. I look at the stove and the fridge as like the fridge changed the world. You know what I mean? It's almost on a macro level that we can look at these.
It did.
Or do we want to keep it local to just us here in this beautiful kitchen that we got this kitchen where we have a clawfoot tub and a hammock?
It really is huge. And I like that you made up an Oscar for 127 hours that it didn't win.
Well, it should have.
You scratched out. I mean, actually, you got it. I'm looking at it right now. You got it at one of those Hollywood Boulevard shops. Yeah. It just says best mom, and you crossed it out and said, it just says best 127 hours, which is weird. You think you just put them, did you run out of space?
I didn't make that. The Academy made it. You'll have to take it up with them, Hal.
Still doing this? Okay. I think the ability to cook
I'd like
food,
to thank the Academy first.
Please just give me the recipe.
I'd like keep scrolling.
That's the name of that song that they play people off with, by the way, is called Just Give Me the Recipe. Did you know that?
Just give me the recipe.
I think it should be the oven/stove/range because you will always need to cook food. I could keep raw chicken in a fridge for however long and then transfer it to the freezer for a good while longer. But I can't then take it out of the freezer, thaw it, and eat it. I have to cook it.
Yeah.
We have to have a means to cook food, whatever it is, wherever we are. And, every continent where people are living has a stove. There's at least one stove somewhere there.
You never lived in a dorm?
I have. Even there, you have hot plates. People have hot plates they're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's not a stove. That's a hot plate.
Well, generally, you have a microwave.
Yeah.
Which again,
I had a micro fridge, which I was very excited about, which was a teeny little fridge and a teeny little microwave on top of it.
Right. So even then, a way to store the food, great. But what you really need is a way to cook it. Otherwise, you just have a bunch of cold food that you can't eat because you have no way to heat it up.
But sure you do. You've got that's
the fire that you made in your dorm room.
No, you've got every other appliance. You've got a toaster oven. This is my point now that what I hadn't even thought of before. There is nothing else that can do what a refrigerator and freezer does in your kitchen. There are other things that can cook food.
Right. But what I'm saying is you have to be able to cook food. So if we're choosing between these two things, it's you take the thing that allows you to store food, that revolutionized storing food, or the thing that that gives everybody the ability to cook it without a fire, without a fireplace, without a hearth, without a potbelly stove.
But there are other things that can cook food in your kitchen. There's nothing else that can freeze food.
What about an igloo cooler with some cold packs in it?
You don't plug it into a wall.
What about a bucket of ice?
You don't plug it into a wall. It doesn't count.
And salt. Like it's all, it's just, I hear what you're saying. I just think the ability to cook food, to me, is more important than the ability to store it. Cause you could buy something fresh.
Well, no, I understand. I agree.
Go buy fresh and cook it that day.
I agree that the ability to cook food is more important than the ability to store food, but there are more to store and freeze food.
Right.
There are multiple ways to cook food, but there's only one thing that can store it and freeze it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not discounting that cooking is the most important function within a kitchen, but there are other things that can cook food besides a stove. There is nothing else that can do what a refrigerator and freezer does.
I would say what it has revolutionized more than anything is our ability to buy things in bulk and keep them for longer, as opposed to having to make more trips every couple of days to get new, fresh things. You don't have to worry about fresh. You can just freeze it for however long, a month, 2 months. Right. Some things you can keep for a year. So in that way.
And armies march on their bellies. Like this is
right.
Like,
they're not carrying a refrigerator, but they'll carry something portable to cook with. So to be able to cook is more important. The point I was making is that food storage and the ability to keep food longer has changed the history of this planet. Sure. It has changed our relationship with food. I also think that having a regulated stove and range has made a difference too, because now we can all make the same things the same way. Because 350 degrees is the same wherever you are, unless you're at a higher altitude.
Yeah.
So it has democratized the cooking of food. We can all make something the exact same way in the same appliance wherever we are.
Does that feel as important as the democratization that the refrigerator freezer did?
Right, but is this
the ability for a family to have enough food versus the ability to make sure that 350 is uniform across all meals? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm not just playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, I think the stove serves the most important function in the kitchen, but I keep coming back to there are other things that can cook food. There's nothing else that can do what a refrigerator and freezer do.
The reason I like the oven and stove is that there is an element of active use. Just as there's an Instant Pot. You have to assemble things, put it in, and then it will cook it for you. No. Every day, or most days, you make yourself like a breakfast burrito, right? Breakfast wrap.
Yeah.
So every day you take stuff out of the fridge and you use your range to cook it. You use either the world's smallest pan that you have to cook one egg, because that's all it'll fit in that cute little thing.
Actually, I bought a really nice pan that I really like right now. It's
what kind? What'd you get?
Calphalon. Calphalon, yeah. I've never bought good pans.
I got one too. I got one in the last.
It's super thick, so it heats evenly. So now I'm doing the whole like, and I kind of love this as a food tip that I heard long ago, but I'm starting to put into play is don't just put a pan on the stove and turn it to scorching. Put it on the stove, turn it on medium low, get it going even. So everything is evenly heated, and then start playing with the temperature. Once the whole pan is evenly hot, then start going up and down with,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Then start messing around with the levels of heat with it. But first things first, put it on low for 5 minutes and let the whole thing just get an even heat to it. And even heating comes from a stove. Yeah. I mean, look, because we don't have a 3-hour show, I'm willing to say the stove.
Yeah. I just think it's cooking, like the experience of a stove. It feels like a more active thing as opposed to like a cold closet you put food in, which is a oversimplification of a fridge. Fridges can do a ton of things. I love my fridge.
Yeah.
They have water, you can get water and ice from them. Do all sorts of
I'll put it this way, Hal. Number 72 on the Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl Shuffle Chicago Bears.
Yes.
Was not nicknamed Stove Perry.
He wasn't.
No.
Because he was the size of a refrigerator, though. It's because he was big.
That's true. That's a good point. And was tall, too. If he was big and short, then he'd have been Stove Perry.
He would have, or Dishwasher Perry.
That's true.
Either one.
If he was a teeny tiny little guy, Instant Pot Perry. Ridiculous.
All right. It's down
and
to
a big tackle from Toaster Perry. Wow, he's strong for such a little guy, but he can only do one thing. Yeah, it's down to 3. And our 3 that we're looking at are the Instant Pot, the stove, and the KitchenAid mixer.
I think we eliminate the KitchenAid mixer.
Why?
Because I think the other 2, you can do even more with as many things as it can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a food preparation device. It doesn't cook anything. So you can't eat out of it. You can make something that you have to, unless you.
Hal, are you eating right out of the Instant Pot?
No, but I did have a salad, and then I ate 2 granola bars, and I have some like under my front gums in the front. I don't know what it is. So I keep running my tongue like Jabba the Hutt underneath. Like I imagine the bottom of my
granola
underneath my bottom lip looks like Tremors. Like.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon is running toward Fred Ward to get in the pickup truck quick before Hal does another swipe with his tongue.
Somebody get Reba McEntire and Michael Gross over here.
We just IMDb'd that whole movie.
Phoebe Cates, right? Isn't she the lead in the first one?
I don't remember. I just remember Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great movie. It's a really, really great movie.
Really fun. It's a lot of fun. We were talking about horror movies recently. Like, yeah. No, where were we? You eliminated the KitchenAid. Yeah, it is, it does
Instant
not.
Pot versus the oven.
Well,
see,
look,
the one
not
that
the
does,
oven, the stove, the range,
the range
thing,
and that includes the oven.
Yeah, that is the oven and the stovetop.
Yes, you have a cooktop and an oven.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it feels so weird to be like, what's the best kitchen appliance? The stove. But it feels like that's everything you can do with an Instant Pot, you can do with a range and more.
That's true.
I still maintain. I still put the fridge on the top of this hill mentally, but again, we're trying to objectively figure this out, and we are a maximum 90 minutes show. So we talked about this once, how you just hold on and wait for me to acquiesce. This might be that point.
No, I'm not holding on. I do think it's I agree with you. It's the stove.
No. I said it was the fridge, and you're right. You're right. It is the stove.
No. I thought we were talking about between the stove and the Instant Pot.
No, I'm going back one now.
You want to go back to the fridge? Do you
I
want
to go back to the
fridge?
I think it's the fridge, but again, we're not that long a show.
Well, I'm not trying to hold out on you. I'm really trying to reason it out. And I keep coming back to, you can store food for as long as you want, but you have to cook. And meanwhile, here's Ken. He's sitting here chatting us. I'm going to read this. What you two have never lost power for 10 days. Wrong. I was in Syracuse in the fall of 1998 when a whole ass tornado came through town and we were without power for almost 2 weeks. And I lived in a house with 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 5 of us that lived in that house.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear.
By the way,
it's going to drive me insane.
All I've been thinking this whole time since you said it
is get to the recipe.
Get to the recipe. No, you said it's a whole ass tornado. And in my mind, it's just a tornado made of butts.
Butts, yeah. There's a butt tornado that came.
A butt tornado, like a Sharknado, but it's just loose butts.
Yeah, the point Ken is making is when you lose power, you freak out because you have all this food that you've stored in the refrigerator and the freezer that's going to go bad. However, before the refrigerator and the freezer, you weren't storing so much food in an area where if you lost electrical power, it was going to be an issue. There were other things that would get in the way, but that is a manufactured problem. Let's say you're in that situation now, but you can't make fire. You have no way to cook the food. Okay. I have all the cold. This is like the end of the Twilight Zone with Burgess Meredith, where he breaks his glasses. I had all the time in the world and now I can't read anything. So you have all the food in the world. It's stored perfectly. How are you going to cook it? You're going to lay it on a rock in the sun?
Does everything in your fridge have to be cooked? I have salad and vegetables. You ate a salad while we were meeting before this episode.
I did. And it had turkey. It had a lean turkey breast on it that needed to be cooked at some point before it became deli meat.
Okay. Then you can
Someone had to cook it.
Then you can cook it in one of the 9 other cooking things that we talked about on this episode.
But are any of them as good as an oven or stove? Sorry, I keep saying oven, but you know what I mean.
But they can do it.
Okay.
They can cook food.
I swear if I had the force, I would be shaking Ken like I was a British nanny. I would be shaking him around till all the Vaders fell off his shelves, calling me a bully in the chat. I'm not trying to bully. I'm trying to make an argument of why I don't.
I'm not trying to bully. I'm trying to win.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to formulate an argument for what if we were sitting in a restaurant and didn't have microwaves and microwaves.
Yeah.
Talking to the microwave. It sounds like this. If we didn't have microphones in front of us, I'd probably be trying to make the same point.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm not doing this for show. I'm just having the conversation. I'm not heated. Neither of us are upset at each other. No. I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with you. Just to me, I always think, I'm thinking of the stuff in my fridge. I have a freezer full. I have steaks that are frozen. I have a whole, chicken to roast at some point. I have all this stuff. And thank goodness I have something. And definitely if we were to lose power, I'd be like, oh no, all that stuff is going to be spoiled.
Yeah. Let me
but
tell
also
you,
I have to cook it at some point anyway.
Let me give you a quick anecdote.
Go ahead.
There's a chef friend of mine from years back that you may have met as well. Campfire Joe, Joseph Antonishek. Brilliant chef. And he once told a story that I loved of the stove in his restaurant, the gas range stoves in his restaurant were not working. Right. There was a gas line problem. The stoves could not work, and he had to do a dinner service.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent his sous chef to, like, I don't know, Target, Walmart, wherever, and said, go buy them out of toaster ovens and Foreman grills. And he served an entire restaurant with toaster ovens and Foreman grills. If the fridge had not been working, he'd have been screwed. That had closed the restaurant for the night.
I take your point.
You know what I mean?
It is a very well made point.
The fridge is the only thing that can do what a fridge does. The freezer is the only thing that can do what a freezer does. There are other things that can cook food.
Okay. Why do you look so nervous?
I'm not nervous.
You don't know? Yes, you are.
I'm smiling.
You're chewing on your fake hand. I can see.
I'm just wondering how long we're going to be here.
No. I think that is a good point, and that story illustrates it really well.
People of the world.
That's what I was about to say. People of the world. Be like, I don't know if you said Joe Fantasvizimanano or if you said, or Joe is a Fatana chef. That's what I thought you said. Joe is a Fatana chef. So if you were cooking Fatana food, the worst thing that could happen is not the loss of fire. You can go get a bunch of George Foreman grills and toaster ovens and do a whole dinner service. Or, you can get a bunch of Instant Pots now. Probably now you get a bunch of Instant Pots. You can cook a bunch of stuff that way too. Make a nice soup in there. There's a soup button. Sure. Go have some soup. Why don't you?
There's a soup button?
There's a soup button. Yeah.
Do you have to put ingredients in?
They don't cost
Do you have
that
to put ingredients in first?
No, you just press a button and it's like a replicator from the next generation. The soup appears.
That's what, I got my air fryer. I turned it on. There's a button with a picture of a slice of pizza on it. I pushed the pizza button. It dinged a few minutes later. I opened it up. Empty.
Well, it's magic, right? That's
unbelievable.
Yeah. And Ken's acting like this is his win. It is not. Mark, you made a very good point, and that story illustrated it really well. And I saw what you were saying. I'm not acquiescing for time. I just think that was a good point. And I'm like, all right, I can get on board with that. I like fridges a lot anyway. I wasn't like, it's wildly inferior to the stove. No, that's not the case at all. It's the best. Get yourself a fridge. If you don't have one, why don't you have a fridge? Go get one. Get
yourself a fridge.
You can get one, freezer on the top, freezer on the bottom. We can be side by side.
Dude, did you ever have one of those LA apartments that doesn't come with a fridge?
No, I lucked out.
That was a weird thing in LA. I don't know if it's even still a thing, because when I moved into this place, there was a fridge in it. But so many places are like, oh, yeah, no. People take their fridges with them from apartment to apartment here.
Do you remember the place that I lived when Jen and I were first together, where we had the Scary Booger Halloween party?
Mm-hmm.
The fridge that came with that place when I first rented it was a Montgomery Ward fridge from the late 70s. And then it eventually died, and we got a new one that was like a Whirlpool or something. But because it came with the unit, I know that happens. Feels like this is the only place where it happens, or does it happen everywhere else and not here?
That's why about the fridges.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I was curious. People of the world, tell us. I don't know if the fridge thing is an LA thing or
if you rent or have rented, did you have to provide your own fridge? And if so, I'm sorry, because then you have to move it to a place where it might not fit in the next place. Like or
you have to take a hacksaw to the cabinets and then explain it later.
Yeah. I finally have French door fridge, where the French doors are the top and then the bottom is a drawer. You've seen it. And then there's the middle drawer that's like a cooling drawer. That's really nice. I'm convinced we're not using it properly in terms of how we're storing things, but the fridge is great. It's a miracle. Changed the world, as Mark said, and Mark alone, in his very well made point. We got this with Mark and Hal. And you didn't give Mark air to breathe. You didn't. He breathes his own air.
Hey, Ken.
He's asking about that time he was trapped between those rocks. What did he breathe? Air.
Hold on. Let me just climb up here real quick. And
okay. No, don't put your
I'd like to thank the Academy for this very unique and real Oscar.
It's the fridge asked and answered.
This topic is closed, but there are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter @WeGotThisTweets or
email us at wegotthispodcast@gmail.com, or go to our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/wegotthispodcast. Talk about the appliances in your kitchen that you love. Thank you to producer Ken Plume. You can find all the great things he's doing at patreon.com/Ken Plume. Thank you also to researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world, for taking this journey through the kitchen with us. May we all one day pile into the same kitchen to cook something up together, grab a recipe off the internet, and scroll for the next 45 minutes until we get to the recipe and all break bread together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin, and don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Audience supported.